Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today I want to share with you one of the most fascinating books I've ever read, a book that completely changed how I see money, success, and even human behavior. It's The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, and unlike most books about finance, this one doesn't talk much about numbers or markets. Instead, it talks about people, about you and me, and how our emotions, experiences, and decisions shape our financial lives. You see, most of us think money is logical. We believe that if we understand the formulas, follow the strategies, and stay disciplined, we'll eventually figure it out. But Housel reminds us that money isn't a math problem, it's a mind problem. And the way we think about money can make all the difference between peace and chaos. When I first read this book, I realized how deeply personal money is. Two people can live in the same city, earn the same salary, and yet treat money in completely different ways. Why? Because we all carry our own history, our childhood experiences, our fears, our dreams, and they quietly influence every decision we make. Someone who grew up during a financial crisis might see investing as gambling. Someone else who's only seen growth might think the market is always safe. Neither one is wrong. They're simply acting according to their own story. And that's the first idea that stayed with me. No one's crazy. We just come from different financial worlds. When you start to see money through that lens, you stop judging people's choices. You understand why some save obsessively and others spend easily. Everyone is trying to manage fear, comfort, and meaning in their own way. But then comes another truth that hit me hard. Luck and risk are everywhere. For every person who made a fortune, there's another who worked just as hard, but their timing was off. Bill Gates became Bill Gates partly because his high school happened to have one of the only computers in the country in 1968. That small stroke of luck changed his entire future. Meanwhile, his brilliant friend Kent Evans never got that chance. He passed away in a tragic accident at a young age. Same potential, different outcomes. It taught me humility, to never look at someone's success or failure without remembering the hidden role of chance. Success is never entirely deserved, and failure isn't always deserved either. But the part that truly made me stop and think was the chapter about never enough. How often do we see people risk everything for just a little more money, a little more fame, a little more validation? Rajat Gupta had everything, wealth, power, reputation, and still risked it all for insider trading because someone else had slightly more. It made me ask myself, what's my definition of enough? Because if you never define it, the chase never ends, and sooner or later, it consumes you. That's when the book shifts to something beautiful, the idea of compounding. We often underestimate how powerful small, consistent effort can be. Warren Buffett is not the richest man because he found some secret formula. He's rich because he started investing as a child and never stopped. More than 90% of his wealth came after his 65th birthday. Compounding works like magic, but only for those patient enough to let it work. It's not about being the smartest, it's about staying the longest. Wealth grows quietly, invisibly, and slowly until one day it looks like it happened overnight. And that's connected to another lesson. Getting rich and staying rich are two very different skills. Getting rich requires risk, courage, and optimism. But staying rich? That requires humility, fear, and respect for uncertainty. It means understanding that survival matters more than speed. You don't need the highest returns, you need sustainable ones. And that's true for investing, business, and even life itself. For me, one of the most freeing ideas from the book was the concept of freedom itself. People don't really want money, they want control. Control over their time, their choices, and their days. When you can wake up and decide how to spend your time, that's real wealth. Money at its best buys freedom, not luxury. And that ties into a powerful truth. It's better to be reasonable than rational. We often hear financial advice that sounds perfect on paper, but real life isn't a spreadsheet. Sometimes you save money not because it earns high interest, but because it makes you feel safe. Sometimes you pay off debt early, even though the math says you shouldn't, just to sleep better at night. And that's okay. Money isn't about perfect logic.
It's about emotional peace. The best financial plan is the one you can actually stick to. Another thing House explores is how pessimism seduces us. Negativity feels smarter than optimism, because saying this will go wrong sounds analytical, while saying it'll work out sounds naive. But history tells a different story. Yes, the world faces crises, crashes, and chaos, but over time, humanity improves. Economies recover, innovations rise, and progress moves forward. Optimism isn't blind faith, it's statistical truth. Things do get better, slowly, unevenly, but undeniably. And then there's the subtle truth about comparison. We're all playing different financial games. The retiree investing for stability isn't playing the same game as a young entrepreneur chasing growth. So when we compare our results to others, it's like comparing chess to soccer. The rules aren't even the same. When I realized that, I started to focus more on my goals, my timeline, and my values, not anyone else's scoreboard. Then comes the idea of saving, perhaps the simplest yet most misunderstood part of personal finance. People think saving is what you do after you earn a lot. But the truth is, saving is how you earn a lot. Saving gives you options. It gives you the ability to say no to jobs, to people, to situations that don't serve you. It's not about greed, it's about independence. Every dollar you save is a little bit of freedom you buy for your future self. And the beauty of saving is that it doesn't rely on luck, timing, or intelligence. Anyone can do it. It's the quiet foundation of every success story that looks effortless from the outside. As I reached the final pages of The Psychology of Money, I realized it's not really a book about finance at all. It's a book about being human, about understanding our fears, our desires, and our stories. It shows that the greatest financial skill isn't analysis, it's behavior. Not IQ, but EQ. The ability to stay calm when others panic, the wisdom to stop when you have enough, and the patience to let small things grow. In the end, wealth isn't measured by how much you own, but by how little you need. And maybe that's the question we should all ask ourselves. Are we chasing money, or are we chasing peace?